The second lesson is the original diet. The original diet. So it comes from Genesis 1, 26 through 29. So it reads, "And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth." So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, "Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth." And God said, "Behold, I have given thee every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree, in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed, and to you it shall be for meat." All right. This is it's the word of God. So this is Genesis 1. This is when this is the creation story, right? Mm-hmm. So God is creating. So first, God creates, he's creating everything, right? So day one, he creates light. Then he creates heavens and the earth. Then he creates stars. He creates the sun. He creates animals. He creates plants. And he creates humans, right? So this passage picks up when God has created humans. See, now when God creates us, the first thing he does is what? He blesses us, right? He creates us. He creates us male and female. He blesses us. He gives us dominion over the sea and pretty much over everything he's created, right? He's creating us. He gives us a job. Right. He says, I want you to manage. Essentially, he said, I want you to manage my creation. And this is just an aside. When he's saying, I want you to have dominion, I want you to manage it, he's really saying, I want you to care for it. Mm-hmm. He's not saying, I want you to beat it up and treat it any kind of way, disrespect it. He's not saying abuse it. He's saying, I want you to care after. I want you to care for it. I want you to look after it. That's a different discussion, but it ties into this because sometimes the way we treat the earth is it kind of goes against the first instructions of God. Yes. Goes against the first instructions. So God tells you. So God blesses us, right? We special, right? God blessed us, right? We're made in His image. Male and female, not just the men, but the men and the female and the women. Amen. Both of us are made in God's image, right? He gives us a responsibility. Yes. He tells us that we are supposed to care after all that He's created, and then replenish it. After we use it, don't just use it and walk away. Use it and replenish it. Make sure it's there for the next generation. Don't just get what you can get and walk away. That's a life lesson, by the way. That's also the way you're supposed to treat people. Don't just get what you can get and walk away from the person. Like, make sure the person is, after leaving you, is better than what it was when they met you. You know. My God, say so. Okay, that's a word. Right? That's a word right there. All right, so he wants us to be good to His creation, including ourselves. He gives us that responsibility, and that responsibility, by the way, is an awesome responsibility. All right. Right. He didn't give that responsibility to anyone. He gave that responsibility on the sixth day to the last of His creation, to us humans. Yes. And He blesses us before He gives us the responsibility. So it's not like He gave you the responsibility without first blessing you, right? The blessing comes, the responsibility follows. And then He tells you something about how to carry out that responsibility. He gives you a tool. He gives us a tool. He says, this is going to be your food. And He describes us what we're supposed to eat. And He tells us very plainly that you're supposed to eat fruits and vegetables. I mean, I'm summarizing, right? He says you're supposed to eat the herb on the tree, and then the fruit the fruit that has a seed in it, right? Now, if you really translate, if you look at herbs, and generally I just say fruits and vegetables, but if you want to be really specific and detailed, then herbs are leafy greens, right? Kale, collards, spinach, turnip greens, right? All the things that grandma used to celebrate, right? Right? And then he also says fruit, right? Apples, oranges, bananas, pomegranates, peaches, right? Grapes, watermelons, cranberry. All these things are to be not just your food, he says, but if you read it in the King James or the New King James, it says it's supposed to be your meat, right? Yes. This is supposed to be what your sustenance comes from, right? These fruits and vegetables. You're designed that way, right? And it must be stated that God gives us the instruction on what we're supposed to eat immediately after making us. It's not an afterthought, right? It's not something that came down the road and he was like, oh yeah, by the way, why don't you pick up some berries on your way home? It wasn't like that, right? When God is putting us together, God makes us with God's hands. So God molds us like clay, puts us together. He designs us, separates the heart from the liver, putting the organs over here, putting the legs down here, putting the arms over there, shaping our noses, shaping our chins and our cheeks, right? God's making us with God's hands, right? And when God designs us, God knows what God is going to instruct us to eat after that, right? The creation and the instruction on food they're 3 verses apart, right? They go hand in hand, right? So when God created us with the expectation that fruits and vegetables were going to be what we ate. All right. God created us with the expectation that fruits and vegetables were going to be how we sustain life. All right? We're going to sustain our lives by eating these fruits and vegetables. And every time I go to the doctor tells me I need to eat more fruits and vegetables. Right? And the doctor says it to me as if the doctor is telling me something that is, like they are a chief intellectual from Athens. And they're telling me that I need to eat fruits and vegetables. And all I did is read Genesis, and it's telling me the same thing. So even if I don't like my doctor, even if I can't stand the medical profession, even if the doctor just gets on my nerves, I don't care anything. They're always wrong. They always backwards. They're never on time. Make me wait in the appointment for an hour before I get there. If I show up late, then they're going to send me home. If I'm 5 minutes late, I got to go home. They can be an hour late, no problem. But if I just ignore them altogether and I read Genesis, then I could be healthy. A lot of my health problems would go away. I hate to say go away. I'm not sure. Depends on how long you've been eating otherwise, right? But if you start from young and you eat the things that God has prescribed, then you're likely to be healthy. Yes. You'll likely be doing okay. Yes. But even if you've created some damage along the way, then even if you start now eating fruits and vegetables, increasing the amount of fruits and vegetables that you eat, then you're likely to improve. Yes. Much you're going to improve. Now, to say that we eat fruits and vegetables is not to say that we don't get protein, right? So if you want to be healthy in this world, you're going to need some protein. All right. Protein is going to be very important. But the way that you get protein, and if you want to eat mostly fruits and vegetables, spinach is made of mostly protein, right? So even if you just eat herbs and you eat spinach herbs, you're going to get a lot of protein from the spinach. But then there's a thing called legumes, which are like things that kind of grow in a pod. Peanuts, peas, soybeans, chickpeas. There's a thing called lentils, pulses, beans, lentils, heavy protein, lots of protein. If you were to exchange chicken for lentils, right? You would get pretty much the same amount of protein, but you wouldn't get the saturated fat. you wouldn't get the cholesterol. So you would get the benefit without getting the damage, right? So if we want to be healthy, and frankly, if you want to be healthy, it's all about lifestyle change. There's no silver bullet other than lifestyle change. I can go to the doctor can give me a pill, and then next year they give me a bigger pill, and then next year he give me 2 big pills, and then every year I keep getting bigger and bigger pills until the pills no longer work, and then I fall down. But if I want to be healthy and have that full life we talked about earlier, then I'm gonna have to change my lifestyle. Like, there's no way about it. And that's not a hard thing for Christians, because when you come to church, you know you're gonna change your lifestyle anyway, right? You know that now that the Holy Spirit is living in you, and you're living, moving not under your own will, but under the will of God, that there's gonna be a change. We come to church hoping for change, right? So change shouldn't scare us, right? That's not a scary thing to say I had to change. That's the whole point, right? I want God to change me into what he wants me to be. I want to be like him, right? I want to be like Christ. So which means I got to go through some changes. So the fact that we're talking about lifestyle change, don't let that deter you. Don't be afraid of that. Because that's what the Christian life is all about.